morning. This is your host, Chamiros, aka Kanicho of Roseiryu Productions, and we are going to continue with Harpocrates' Legends of Lore. So, continuing with the mysteries of the realm. We are going to the crystal flower. Okay, before I start reading this, boop. Okay. The crystal flower. When Drake's tail came under attack by a maddened Bahamut, the heart of the mother crystal responded by delving into its attacker's innermost thoughts and summoning into creation that which most plagued his tortured soul. The wyvern tail that represented the trust Prince Dion's father placed in him and his duty to the realm. The crystal. One of the most valuable materials known to mankind, thanks to its ability to channel ambient ether from the air, allowing those without an innate power to do so to cast magics after Ultima cast Primogenesis, and the skies over Valisthea darkened, many of the municipal crystals that fired forges and filled wells began to fail. In certain areas, even those rationed shards that the people relied on by their everyday lives lost their spark, making life all but unlivable. Icon. Shattered aspects of Ultima's power given flesh by human hosts. It is the two wardens of fire, Phoenix, and Ifrit, who together comprise his perfect form, the icons of the lesser elements serving as sacrifices to Mythos' altar in order to test and bolster the vessel's strength. The unbranded. Most bearers are identified soon after birth and marked with the slave brand, but a fortunate few are not, and remain unbranded. An unbranded bearer can live like any other man or woman, so long as their knack for magic remains a closely guarded secret. Should it be revealed, however, they are denounced as liars and impostors and dealt the severest punishment. A religious image found across Valisthea, the ancient mural, not only in the apothecary under Phoenix Gate and in the Comric, near the heart of Drake's breath, but upon a tapestry in Tabor too. It depicts the icons arranged in adoration of a central figure believed to be Ultima, the god that rules above them all. The Akashic. The irreversible change brought about by a living being's overexposure to aether, creatures are stripped of any intelligence or sense of self they may once have had, and become suffused with life force, usually manifesting as extreme strength and aggression. Though most regard men who turn Akashic as naught but mindless monsters, Barnabas and Sleipnir claim they are, in fact, divine. Echoes. Strange clockwork constructs often encountered in fallen ruins. The question of whether or not they are truly alive is open to debate. As they do not appear to require water, nor do they feed on the flesh of their victims as beasts do, seemingly existing solely to protect their habitat from intruders, though it is widely assumed that they are vestiges of the fallen civilization. Some of the structures they preside over, such as the apothecary and the sanctuaries at the heart of the mother crystals, seem to predate even that bygone age. In the aftermath of Primogenesis, beneath the blackened skies that followed, they emerged from the ruins at last and can now be seen wandering the entirety of Valisthea. Slave traders. Those who make their coin buying and selling bearer slaves, while the trade is highly regulated, a slave is a valuable asset, and so there is a thriving black market in stolen and unregistered bearers. Doris's former master was just such a black market trader who trained her abducted charges as killers for hire. knowing that if the branded was caught in the act, their ownership records could not lead the constabulary to her door. The Enterprise. The Hideaway's Mithra engine-powered flagship, designed by the father and daughter team of Sidolphus and Metadel Telamon, to serve as a last hope for humanity should all of Valisthea be lost to the Blight, and constructed in secret in the ironworks on the outskirts of Canver. The mithril with which it is fueled is a highly concentrated source of energy, allowing the ship to achieve speeds thrice that of a galleon at full mast. The mithril engine, the technology designed to propel the Hideaway's flagship, the Enterprise across the seas at heretofore inconceivable speeds. It is not fueled by magic, but by mithril, a hard, inert substance refined from deadland soil, inert that is, unless burned at blistering temperatures, hence when it releases all the energy stored within, for which reason cooling is required in the form of a three-piece thermal displacement stack. The Einherjar. The flagship of the Waloder Navy, also known as the Black Galleon, is a vast seven-mast vessel constructed of 3 conjoined galleys, and could aptly be described as a floating fortress. Alongside the Royal Cavalry is the Pride of Walode, and is capable of swiftly delivering elite troops onto enemy soil to make war in the name of the mighty Odin. Jill was kept prisoner here after being captured by King Barnabas. The Orchestrion. A curious clockwork contraption that is able to perform several mystical compositions at the flick of a switch. It was designed and constructed by a young mid, and Sid labeled it her first true masterpiece of engineering. He hid his own masterpiece inside it, the final part that his daughter would need to complete the calibration of the mithril engines that the two designed together. Gaishao greens. The leafy green vegetable loved also by chocobos. Such is the bird's attraction to its scent, traders who transport them by the wagon load must seal the boxes tightly, lest they should find themselves accosted by a flock of wild bows on the road. Really? Bows? You couldn't have called them just chocos? Really? Well, I'ma call them by a flock of wild chocos on the road. There we go. Better. Hehehe. Though most Gaishal greens are grown for the chocobo fodder, they can be eaten by humans too, provided one trims away the toughest fibers and boils the fleshy leaves in salt water until soft. Engineering. The technology of the fallen civilization was highly advanced, and though many an archaeologian an engineer has sought to study the workings of the curious contraptions they left behind, little light has yet been shed on their secrets. Engineers of the present day largely learn from each other. Indeed, the knowledge that Mid learned in the University of Canver she now shares with the children of the Hideaway, that they might one day stand on her shoulders. Botany in the Deadlands. The Deadlands are true to their name, in that no plant nor animal can survive for long in lands swallowed by the blight. At least that is without effort and ingenuity. In Sid's Hideaway, Bohumil and Martel found some success in growing crops in deadland soil, and others continue their legacy in the new Hideaway. Mid's filters, for instance, make the blackened waters of the Mere fit for human consumption and, much to Nigel's relief, irrigation. The Journal of the Moss. The Annals of the Moss, the chronicler, a scholar of Valisthean history noted for his singular insight indeed, Moss's journal is one of the few histories to speak at any length concerning the ancient circle of Malleus and the creature they worshipped as their god, Ultima. Both Moss and his journal were all but removed from public life at the insistence of rival scholars, but at Joshua's request, the Undying were able to track down a copy of the prized tome. Valisthea, a culinary pilgrimage. An ancient recipe book that instructs one how to make toothsome fare from the game of the realm, though the outdated tongue in which it is penned makes it difficult to divine precisely what beast is being proposed for the pot. It was discovered in the shelves by Ivan as he hunted for inspiration to expand his culinary repertoire. And expand it he did, summoning forth the Chancer's stew, a piquant, some might say putrid, ragout of scorpion tails, whose flesh was as soft as the silt of the swamps in which they live, and the flavor similarly comparable. The Hideaway's head chef Molly was not to be outdone. However, drawing from the pilgrimage's pages a fried mortress of skyworm, the dish, consisting of wyvern livers sautéed with saint's bonnet, was heralded a tour de force among those who tasted it. Mythos. Ultima's name for the vessel of limitless power that he has long awaited. He identifies Clive as this mythos by virtue of his awakening as the dominant of Ifrit, and having the power to absorb the aether of other icons. Ultima manipulates his servants into pitting Clive against the other dominants, that he might drink of their strength and bring Mythos closer to perfection. Will. That which separates humans from animals and is given shape by consciousness, a sense of self, and a freedom of thought. Even when one is deprived of other freedoms, it is one's will that drives the pursuit of true liberty. To Ultima, however, human will is a sickness that prevents them from taking their proper divine form, that of the Akashic who blindly serve his own purposes. To this end he cast primogenesis, transforming much of humanity into his soulless servants. Bonds of consciousness. The fellow feeling that binds a person with those they love and who love them. So long as these bonds remain strong, so too does a human's grip upon their will. Ultima cast primogenesis in order to sever these bonds of consciousness, that humanity might lose their wills and turn Akashic, and that his vessel might be perfected. Primogenesis, a spell cast by Ultima that casts a roiling pall over all Valisthea, the unbalanced in the ether that resulted not only sapped the potency of crystals and magic in those lands that remained livable, but filled the rest with floods, turning men and beasts into mindless, merciless Akashic, all to sap the wills of mankind and make all of humanity into his soulless servants. The Phoenix. Warden of Fire, whose strength resides within Joshua Rossfield. 18 years after the Imperial invasion of Phoenix Gate and Joshua's presumed demise, the Phoenix spread its wings once more in the skies above the crystalline dominion, wings in which there reside flames of rebirth. Ifrit risen, the two icons of fire united as one. Clive and Joshua manifested this being in the skies above the crystalline dominion after entreating their icons to grant them the power they needed to quell the raging Bahamut. It has the body of Ifrit, the wings of the phoenix, and a might that far exceeds either icon alone. Shiva, Warden of Ice, of whom Joe Warwick is the current dominant. Long before the fall of the Fallen, there existed a tribe in northwestern Storm known as the Motes of Ice, among whom the dominant of Shiva would be born. Tales of the Ice Queens of the Old North are passed down among the men and women of the Northlands to this day. Goblins, a common species of beastmen, found mostly on Storm. They have habitually avoided contact with other races, be them beast or man. The continued spread of the blight, however, has driven the creatures to find homes near human settlements, making violent encounters more commonplace. That said, a rare few have been found to possess the ability to crudely converse, and at times even cooperate with humankind. Titan, the Warden of Earth, who takes on the aspect of fearsome stony giant. He is known to awaken among the descendants of the ancient Motes of Earth, a tribe who once dwelled in the deserts of what is now the Dalmekian Republic, by far the largest and most physically imposing of all the icons. Titan's strength was the bedrock upon which the Republic was built. Bahamut, the Warden of Light, whose power dwells within Dion Lesage, Prince of Sunbrak. A tribe known as the Motes of Light once dwelled in the northeast reaches of Storm, where the great city of Oriflamme now stands. among which the dominant of Bahamut would always emerge. In modern times, dominants are often born among the Sambuqua nobility, most likely because the tribe's bloodline still runs strong in their ranks. Orcs, a species of beastmen native to Ash. Orcs have historically lacked the means with which to cross the Strait of Altha and make ingress into Storm. However, rumors of their having been sighted at Drake's Fang have begun to spread as of late, along with the speculation that they might even have joined forces with their longtime enemy, the Kingdom of Waloed. Scorpions. With pincers the size of boulders and a hugged tail as long as a chocobo's tall, merely the sight of a scorpion is enough to strike fear into the most hardened of warriors. That said, the poison contained in their stingers is actually far weaker than those of their lesser cousins, and is primarily used to stun rather than kill. They favor deserts and other hot climates and other hotter climates, and as such are found mostly in Dhalmekia, as well as the fiery mountains of the Iron Kingdom. Antelopes, a large herbivorous creature found mainly on Storm. It has distinctive, elaborate antlers and long, sinuous limbs, which it uses to leap gracefully into the air. It attacks mainly with its antlers and rear legs, but many hunters are prepared to face such dangers nonetheless in order to acquire the lustrous, supple pelts for which these noble beasts are famed. Chimeras. That there might exist a creature so terrible, so twisted as the tricephalic horror that is the chimera is a striking reminder of the madness of whatever deity first whispered life into them. It is not enough that the winged demons are both astonishingly aggressive and adept in the manipulation of ether, but they are also able to wield the influence over other beasts. Commanding them like a field marshal might his regulars, fortunately, they are seen only rarely, and only deep in the deserts of Dhalmekia. Dragons. Majestic winged beasts that are commonly considered to be some of Valisthea's most ancient creatures, albeit rarely sighted in modern times. There are countless myths and legends regarding dragons, one of the most prominent being that Valisthea itself was formed when a mighty drake fell from the sky. According to the Gregorian faith, dragons were created by the goddess herself to serve a holy means, as holy sentinels over her earthly demesne, and as such, have long been employed by the Holy Empire of Sembrek in various martial roles within and without the Imperial Legion. So that is it for the lore for today. We're going to go ahead and continue on with the story. So we're going to cut the video here and move along.